Alright, everybody, welcome to a Cassian's Realm Sagas card review part 3. We finished Sagas of the Realms. That's what you're looking at here. 120 cards, mass pack. Let's just dive right in. So, we're going to be taking a look at all 120 cards today in this video. Probably be like an hour-ish long, probably, I'm guessing. And not going to waste your guys' time, so let's start with the first one here. So the first one we have here is Grizzotman, which, as you know, this is a preview. This set review, is pretty much, all the cards in here is a preview of all the old cards we've ever made, because as you know from the first video, we explained that all these cards are new versions of old cards. So Grizzotman, sorry, not Grismot, Grizzotman, is a card that is influenced from my first deck I ever made, which was called Lord Grizzot's Dark Deck, and that's where this card was influenced from. I made it on August 4th, and kill target cards, gain 3 life from each one killed, gain 3 life when dies. It's a 2/3. The 2 is life, and no, the 2 is damage, and the 3 is life. So, just to understand. And then next we have 1518 spell, which is influenced by literally the name of the pack, which is called Sagas of the Realms 1518. Just kind of a simple concept art for that. Just kind of the start and current look of my game, which is 15 when I started and 18 now. Draw 2 cards, gain 5 life points, 1 use gain 5 life points, 1 use only. It's a 2/3 as well. That's the second card, so we have 118 cards more to go. Alright, Twist Waste Cassanjonks. Alright, so Twist Waste is kind of like a robot thing. Like, we've made a bunch of different Twist Waste robot cards, and this is kind of just a reflection look at some of those, which just kind of became like a popular little thing I started. So that's Twist Waste. Gain 3/3 Rampage when another robot creatures on field, gain 4 life from each card killed. It's a 3/3. Alright. We have 200 round Blurred Blaster Jaker. That's a mouthful. Bonus weapon. You can only add it to a Karzov creature, which I think I made a Karzov creature or 2 in here. So you can add it to that. Just, add to Karzov creature only, add L/D, which L/D stands for life and damage, which is these 2 things down here, 2/2. You add the life points together of the creature and the bonus weapon, and both go in grave when it gets killed. So, yeah. And then here we have Valcharia Imperia spell. Gain 5/5 Rampage on all Valchar cards on field for 2 turns. 1 use only. 5/5. This card was influenced from our Valchar Dynasty Influencer Pack series that we made. Shai's Junctions, Alliance, Valcharia, and Mortalia, and others. There's 4 influencer packs. So that's what that one's influenced by. And then the Natarexia Saga is inspired, obviously, by the Natarexia Saga, which is the biggest and most complicated saga we ever made in our game. It's the top ranking currently. I don't think anything will outmatch it, to be honest. Out of everything I do in the future, I don't think anything will rise above Natarexia. I put so much work into that saga, it's unbelievable. And there's multiple sagas in that saga. And then we have Murgleman. Sorry about that notification. Annoying. Murgleman is influenced by the Santa Row and Murgle cards we made in that saga, the Murgle Saga, which is a ocean realm inspired by Elswivon Swing and all sorts of other cards. You're going to see other cards in here that are influenced by the similar concept, Murgle and water creatures. Murgle is a realm we made, an ocean realm in our game. It's one of the oldest realms. It's quite literally the oldest realm, I think. Natarexley is up there too. Dirty Deldretch spell. Influenced by the Deldretch saga. As you know, Deldretch is, or you may not know actually, telling you this for the first time, Deldretch is the grossest, or one of the grossest kind of sagas we've made in our game. There's a whole saga around Deldretch. And then there's also things like the Nafi, which is quite gory and bloody. And then there's, I have some other gory stuff too. Endless Resurrection deck, is quite bloody as well. But yeah. And then here we have Taint of Recreation. The spell was influenced by the Natarexless War Saga. Part of the Natarexley saga, or saga in that saga. So yeah. And then here we have Nafi Bladefang, which is based off of the Nafi saga, which we made a few packs around the Nafi. We haven't made any decks or pro packs, just like influencer packs and power packs, rarity packs. One of them's called Ejectalek, Blood Moon, and Blood Fangs. I think that's all. Those are all the packs that go with Nafi Bladefang. So that was influenced by that. Titan is just influenced by the Titans, which I have quite a few Titan, I guess you could say, gods in my game. They're not really gods, they're just Titans. But they do have influence and power like gods to other races and such. Then we have Spells on Spells, which is a spell directly influencing from our Spells on Spells Pro Pack, which is a Pro Pack of 40 spell cards, only spells. So that's where that's influenced from. And then we also have Lamian Scat Cat, which is based from Lamian cards like Lamian Lorien and Lamian Catrin, to be honest, as well, which is based off the Catrin. You'll see all that coming up here probably. Next we have Sunblade Champion, which is kind of based off the Angel's Glow deck. This card was just kind of based around that whole deck I made back in 2022. It was called Angel's Glow, so that kind of references that. And then we have Blood Drop, which is kind of also the Nathi. It kind of comes from the Nathi, but it could really be about anything. But if you ask me, that card was kind of influenced around the Nathi saga. And then here we have Surf of Murgle, which is obviously based around Murgle. Another card based around the Sanaro, which is based in Murgle, and Elswivon Swing, and a couple of other packs that go along with that saga. Here's a fact card. I can read it to you. SAGAZ The Realms is an overview of 120 cards that are random cards from the past 3.5 years. It's actually 4.5. I was wrong at the time. Ideas and sagas I have been creating. Fact card part 2. 120 cards of mass packs is the biggest pack I have ever created, or I have created. The previous was decks of 60 cards. This one has 120. A view of every card we made. I think we'll just say that. Can't quite read that through picture. I could read it if I had the paper here, but only looking through a picture, and sometimes it's hard to read that way. But anyways, it's a fact card. And then next we have the Natarexless War Saga, directly referencing the Natarexless War Saga. This card is a spell. Gain 6 life. Enemy player loses 6. 1 use only, so it's a 1/6, meaning 1 damage and 6 life. Next we have Jixter Jaker, based right around from the Jakers equipment pack we made back in 2023. This card is based around the Karzov, but also the Jakers, which are made by the Karzov. Certain type of weapons that are very powerful, made by the Karzov race. Yeah. And then we have Duratings. These are demons from Durakur, based right off the Durakur Influencer pack. This card is just, referencing the Durakur saga, which only has one pack currently, and I'm thinking about making a rarity pack for it at some point in the future called Claws of Turlesh. But we're not going to get to that anytime soon. Next we have Flimrock Darkling. Flimrock is kind of a legendary creature from Deldritch, and this creature is referencing him, basically. So yeah, that's what this one's about. And then we have Cameron and Cassian spell. Cameron and Cassian is basically me. I'm Cameron, and Cameron is Cassian, who created the game. So yeah, basically me. That's what that spell is about. It's just basically referencing me as the creator. Next we have the Dynasty symbol. This is the Junctions Alliance symbol for Valchar. Draw 3 cards. One use only. It's a 3/3, and made it on August 18th. Yeah. And next we have In Water We Trust. Draw 2 cards. Kill 2 enemy player life points. One use only. It's a 5/5. Alright, well, this card is basically referencing Lamia, but specifically the Kikui. Now, the Kikui is a certain tribe from the Natarexus War Saga in Lamia, and they're kind of very special and very quiet and reserved tribe, and this is basically a card referencing to them. In Water We Trust. So, if you ever look at my saga, when we go over our Natarexus War Saga, which is going to be a lot of videos for that, because there's so many cards, and just things to go over, that, when we get there, we'll show you the Kikui, because that's where they come in, and you'll see a lot of, just how they are, and what that references to them and stuff. And next we have Lamian Katrin, which is based off a card way back in the day, 15, when we were first making cards for the very first time on just random ass book scrap paper that was like shitty as fuck. That was a card called Katrin, and I decided to do an upgraded version called Lamian Katrin, and here it is. This card was one I have definitely had wanted to put in the Sagas of the Realms for a minute before I even started making the set. I knew I wanted to put that card in there, so I'm glad I did. And next we have Gore Splurge Gorestrog. This card references a card from also way back in the day, when I was 15, called Gorestrog, and I just decided to do an upgraded version of it, and here it is. Come out way better than the last version, I'll tell you. Next we have Jake Gel, which this gel is for Jixter, Jaker bonus weapons, but also just Jakers in general. It says all bonus weapons on field 4+4 rampage till dies, gain 6 life when dies. That card basically gives all Jaker and other bonus weapons 4+4 rampage on field till dies. So yeah, that's pretty powerful potion. Orbio Warbio spell. Something I just kind of came up with just randomly because I was bored, and I was just like, I want to create a card for SAGAZ of the Realms right now, but I don't know what I want to create. And I was like, Orbio Warbio. I was like, shit, I'll just write it down. And I did. So that card is just kind of a stupid card that doesn't really reference anything, but if it could reference anything, it probably reference, sorry about that, unspeakable spells, or spells on spells. You could probably reference any of that. if it wanted, but that card was just kind of a silly card made just because I was bored. And yeah. Scorpius Venom Fang, that's referencing the Scorpius. Now, the Scorpius is a scorpion humanoid race. That race is a very old idea. That's from back when I was like 14 and I was just coming up with random ass ideas and writing them down. So that's a very old reference. The Scorpius is it's one of my oldest ideas, to be honest, along with Akani versus Ivana, which I still haven't made any uh, dual decks for or anything. Gonna have to do that probably in like 2025 or 2026. Who knows? Um. Anyways, oh man. Okay, so I tell you. So I have a friend named Tristan, and his online username on Instagram is Tawamaki, spelled exactly like that. And he posts selfies of his fat ass body with his muscly arms. He's got a fat belly and a fat body, and then these kind of half ripped, sluggish arms. And he always blocks out his face with this black, like, scribble. And so that was a reference to him because at the time he was being super annoying in my online life, and I really was pissed off with him. And so I just kind of decided to write him down in my game. And I've known him for a minute. I know him since he was a kid. We haven't been in touch for a minute, but like he remembered me and we got in touch again on Instagram and stuff. We don't even fucking live that far away from each other. We live like 5 miles away from each other, maybe 6, and like we haven't seen each other in like 7 years. No, I think less than that. I think it's like 4 or 5 years. But anyways, that's what that card is reference to. So Tawamaki Silly Broski. Yeah. It should have been Shitty Broski, but there shouldn't even be a broski in there, but you know what? I was too nice at the time. Aragos, Aragod. Okay, this is referencing Aragos, and probably Tree Crew X Earth Crew Oglon Clans Pro Pack. Yeah, that's what that card's referencing to. That card is just kind of reversion of just, or not even a reversion, just kind of a card referencing that part of my game. Let's move on. Next we have Coon Cottage. Okay, so the reason I made this card was because I was listening to a podcast from Magic the Gathering by Mark Rosewater called Drive to Work, and I was listening to this episode with this certain other guy, and it was about the making and concept art for Bloomborough, and they were talking about raccoons a lot, and I got really inspired by what they were talking about, so I decided to make a card called Coon Cottage. So that doesn't really reference anything except Bloomborough from Magic the Gathering, and that's why I made it, because I got super inspired by Magic the Gathering. Yeah. And then we have Ultra XG Tazero. Okay, I made a bonus weapon way back in the day called just like XG Power Taser or something. And so I decided to do a reversion of it. And yeah, that's it right there. Zap your ass, probably. And then here we have freshwater goblet. Now I made a card, but way back in my dual decks, Dark Magic versus Golden Truth, I did a card called Goblet in the Dark Magic part, and I decided to do a couple of remakes in this Sagas of the Realms review. And here's one of them, Freshwater Goblets. And then here we have Saltwater Goblets, which is another remake of it. Yeah. And then here we have Wild Heart, Love Heart. Now, for like, since 2023, I'd say, like late 2023, probably like September in 2023, so around this time, but last year, I was making cards called just Wild Heart this and Wild Heart that and Love Heart this and Breaker Heart that and whatever. And they were all elks. And so I decided to create this realm called Wildheart, and it's kind of linked to Greenheart in a way, a little bit. But anyways, it's all elks, and so this is another elk called Wildheart Loveheart, and that's where that's inspired from. Next we have Jahara, Alien Dragon of Zalka. Oh man, this card. So I made a card, a rarity pack, back in like early 2022. So like 2 years, almost 3 years ago. And it was a pack of dragons, and a dragon I had included in there was Drahara, and he was a crashed alien dragon at the time. And I didn't know where he was crashed until this year, so I kind of made it up. But he crashed on Zalka. So I made a reprint of him, basically, in Sagas of the Realms. And yeah, over here we have Gem the Gem. Okay, now this guy, he's a Titan, but he's a completely new Titan. He doesn't reference anything old. He's just something I kind of created and said, this is cool. I'm going to put it in Sagas of the Realms. And he just kind of got put in there for no reason. So yeah, he just basically kind of, I had a soft spot for him, so he got put in Sagas of the Realms. Lucky guy. Okay, Wolf Skull Paranormal. Okay, this card references Queen Rhoda, Warden of Wolf Skull, which was a whole deck about Wolf Skull, a ghost realm I created. And here's a spell about it. So, Wolf Skull Paranormal, and kill one target card, draw one card, gain one life, one use only, 4/4. Yeah, moving on. We have That's the Truth spell. Okay, now this spell just kind of was like honesty for me, which is like, I made this card kind of just when I was like in my feelings, and I was like, man, that's the truth. Because I was just thinking about some shit, and I realized it was true. And so I just kind of made a card called That's the Truth. And yeah, I'm not going to say what the feelings were or whatever. I'm not going to say none of that shit, but that's what it was based off of. Okay, Universal Realm Man. Okay, this guy, he's just kind of a god that just is called Universal Realm Man. And he's just kind of a man of the universe. And yeah, that's it. Okay, Sledge of Elsig. Okay, we made a card way back when we were like 15, called King Elsig, and this was a tribute to him, Sledge of Elsig. So, because I want to remember some of my old cards and not let them just get lost to time and be like, oh, shit, when did I make this? You know? So that's why I'm trying to make reprints of them and stuff. So yeah, he got lucky and got reprinted. Okay, we have Twirling Storms. This card references Torricanes. For me, could reference anything, to be honest. Could just be random as fuck, but for me it references Torricanes. And yeah, kill 3 target cards. Gain 10 life, 1 use only, 5/5. Nice. Okay, Tree Crew X Earth Crew, directly referencing Tree Crew X Earth Crew Oglong clans that we made this year. That was a pro pack, so that's directly what that's referencing. Okay, next we have 44 Hours Potion. Shoot, I forgot to crop this one. That's okay. This card just gain 8+8 on all of your cards on field till it dies. So, gain 16 life when it dies. So that's just kind of a really powerful potion. Hunting Henzu. Okay, we made a card way back when you were 15 called Henzu. And this is just a remake of that card. And moving on. We have Dimension Mirror. Okay, this card is just kind of random. It doesn't reference anything. I just made it and decided it was cool enough to go in Sagas of the Realms. That's the end of the story for that one. Alright, we have Punk Rage. Okay, we've been recreating these cards called Rage. Like, we made a Rage Potion, a couple of Rage cards, a couple of Rage this and that. It's just kind of become a popular theme in 2024 to appear in my cards for some reason. It's not like I really try to make too many of them. They just kind of appear out of my head, and I just make them and don't realize how many I made until I did. So, I decided to reference it in Sagas of the Realms. And yeah. Next we have okay, Brumbleback Nico. We made a card that my friend Quinn, he came up with the idea, and he said, you should make a card called Back Nico, and I said, okay. He said, you should have, like, a weird head and a couple of branches with eyes and, like, all this other shit. I was like, alright. And I made it, and, yeah. Made a remake of that card, and I made that when I was, like, 16, that card. Maybe actually late 15, early 16 when I made the first Back Neko, and I decided to make a remake of that card in Sagas of the Realms called Brumbling Back Neko. So yeah, and then here we have, Doriak Hammer Band. Alright, so Doriak Hammer Band, so the Doriak is kind of a dwarf clan that just appeared in and out of random CassiansRealmSagas cards I've made that aren't part of any pack. And I decided to include them in Sagas of the Realms. So they got lucky. Doriak Hammerband appeared, and yeah, I just decided to make it and figured why not put it in there. It references something in my game, so yeah. Here we have Rip Tooth Vuku. Okay, Vuku is kind of a raptor, and I did a horrible concept art for this one, but I didn't want to fix it, and I didn't want to throw it away, so I decided to keep it, but I'm not proud of it. Yeah, that card is not very, definitely not my best work for sure. But the Vukus are basically raptors of Zalka that breathe fire, and this one's called Rip Tooth Vuku. So yeah, moving on, we have the Red Feud. Okay, this card definitely references straight to the Red Feud Pro Pack battle packs that I made against Ralphar Red Hand versus Cassian Bloodstone. And so that's what that card references to. No more to say about that one. Okay, Gliding Gleish. This spell directly references to our Mist and Weirds Elemental Water deck that we made. We have an Earth deck, we have a Fire deck, we have a Water deck, and we have all the Elemental decks, basically. And this is a card referencing to the Water one, Mists and Weirds. So yeah, that's what that card. I made a spell card in the original deck called Gleish, and this one's called Gliding Gleish. So kind of just remade it. Next we have Gallon Punch. Okay, this spell references to a card from Mist and Weirds as well. What called Gallon. Okay, so there's cards called Gallingers, which are creatures made of water, and I made them up, and they're called Gallingers. And this is basically what their punch would be, a gallon punch. So that's a spell basically referencing to the Gallingers from Mist and Weirds. Next we have Ultimate Wild Heart. Alright, this card is another Wild Heart card, another elk. This card is referencing to Wild Heart once again. I knew I made a couple more, I think, that we'll come across, but this one gains 3+3 Rampage when Wild Heart Love Heart is on field, which we went over back like 30 cards ago, I think. Next we have Torricane's Bolts spell. This references to Torricanes. This card is would be good if you were making any sort of deck revolving around storms or elemental disasters or such. This is a good card to put in there. Moving on, we have Vexing Herkamoths. So we made a power pack back in 2023 called the Herkamoths, and they're basically the king-size dragons. They are the kings of dragons. They are the biggest dragons, the most powerful dragons, the most elemental, crazy dragons. And this is one that's vexing right now. So yeah. Moving on, we have Angel of the Glow. This is referencing Angels of the Glow deck. That's what this card is referencing. And yeah. Moving on, we have 17 to 16, worst years of my life. That is the truth. 16 and 17 were the peak of my marijuana addiction and other such. But etc. blah blah blah. Moving on, we have Swampy Spell. Okay, this is just a card of like a crazy lady living in a swamp. And just gain 3+3 Rampage on one of your cards for 3 turns, 1 use only. And next we have Tormenting Agra, or Ugra, however you want to say it. Kill target cards. It's basically like a rocky-ish beast worm. And I only did its head. We'll have to do another art one day, or another card of it showing its full body or such. Yeah. Next we have Wild Heart Horn. This is an antler from a Wild Heart elk. And you add it to a creature and give it its life and damage increased. Next we have Turlesh Durkur Legend. Okay. This is the main demon, or one of the main demon lords of Durkur. And yeah, he was the one we're gonna base the Claws of Turlesh on. This is Turlesh. So yeah. And then here we have Kazos Gronkle. Okay, this is a new type of orc for Kazos. Never created it before until Sagas of the Realm, so it's kind of new. And then we did Gronkle's Bugle. It's a spell. And yeah. Moving on, we did Rotted Eyebald, which is a reference from Eyebald, which was a super cool creature from our Dark Magic deck versus the Golden Truth deck. I was from that deck. Next we have In the Clear Potion. This is just basically a droplet clearing you. I don't know, it's kind of a cool idea. It's just something I came up with on the spot and thought it was kind of cool. So I decided to draw it. Next we have Crafton Castle. Okay, this card was, so Veron Viper is an influencer pack we made back in 2022, and Crafton Castle is kind of like the main fortress from that influencer pack. And so I decided to remake the castle for Sagas of the Realms. Next, we have Slick Slate Escape spell. Okay, this is a spell just basically about getting away super slick on your motorcycle. And yeah. Next, we have Pouncing Sackblade. Okay, this is a kind of a card that was influenced from our Traders and Rogues deck. So yeah, he's kind of referencing the Traders and Rogues deck. Next, we have Scarring Scarlesh. Also, this one's actually kind of based off of the Nathi saga. They have blades like that a lot, and so yeah, that's kind of based off of the Nathi saga. Next, we have Spell Dominion Spell. This spell is a spell basically referencing the rarity packs that we've created called Unspeakable Spells. And yeah, we have 5 different rarity packs of Unspeakable Spells, and that's just a spell kind of referencing those rarity packs. Hefty Havukal. Okay, so Hefty Havukal, we did a card back when you were 15 called Havukal, and basically this card is a remake of that card, or a remastered card of that card. And Havukals are basically kind of like rocky beast beetle spiders, but super big. And yeah. Sorry. The Blood Moon Saga, that references the Nathi Saga. It's actually called the Blood Moon Saga. I've been calling it the Nathi Saga, but same thing. And yeah. Okay, Billowing Heratreon. So we did a card called Hera back when we were 15, and they could summon the ashes of the people they killed into Heratreons, and this is a type of Heratreon we created. So yeah. Next, we have Flygraph Flombies. Okay, so Flygraph is basically the safe haven of Ralphar the Red Hand from the Red Feud saga. And that's basically just a remake of some zombies from that pro pack. Next, we have Crash Out. This spell is actually based off of Future and Metro Boomin's song from We Don't Trust You called GTA. And it starts with Crash Out, new Crash Out, or something like that. And I was just really feeling the song, so I decided to do a spell called Crash Out. And that's the truth. Clearwater Potion, based off of In the Clear Potion. or whatever the other one we just did was. And yeah, that's a potion basically referencing the earlier potion that we went over. Swivanian Gallinger. Okay. A Murgle Gallinger. So basically a creature influenced from El Swivan Swing and Mist and Weird's deck. So combination basically. And then here we have Cassian Firehand Red Eye. This spell is referencing basically Cassian and his powers and his red eyes and his fire hands. And yeah. And then here we have Vicing Green Bear. So this is based off of Green Heart, which was a power pack we did when we, or I think in like 2023, it was called Green Heart, and it's basically about Morian and Ellengar and a bunch of other elemental magic stuff we'll have to explain one day. But basically that's what that one's based off of. And then here we have Cranium Crunching Kazon. So we did a card back when we were 15 called Kazon. And this card is called Cranium Crunching Kazon, which is basically a remastered version of the first card. Next we have Lamar Lee Lime, Legendary Chemist. So I literally woke up from a dream and I had the name Lamar Lee Lime stuck in my head. And I decided to make it a Legendary Chemist in my game that morning. Like 5 minutes after I woke up, I made this card. So, yeah. Just woke up at a dream with Lamar Lee Lime stuck in my head, and I said, that's important for some reason. We're going to use that, so I used it. And yeah. Next, we have Furious Firamish. Okay, so we did a card back when I was in 2023, and I remember we were at Rancho Privado, which is a basically like a rental house in Tucson, Arizona, and I remember I was there and they had some fish in a pond, and there were some like really fast fish. They were like moving extremely fast, like just zipping around their pond, and I was like, Furious Firamish, and then I was like, Firamish, so I did a card called Firamish. And here's a reboot of that card called Furious Firamish. A year later, or a little over a year later. So yeah, that's where that story came from. And that card. Here we have Furious Firamish. I'm sorry, Firamish Chum. I don't know why I can't say that for certain. Okay, Firamish Chum Potion. Just a card. Give 2+2 to all Firamish cards on field till it dies. And yeah, it's a 2/2. And then here we have Deldretch X Sevender. So there's no relation to Sevender and Deldretch, other than they do have very similar concepts when it comes to the structure of where they're laid in. So they're both tunnels, both slimy and dark. The only difference is one is filled with skeletons and slime and blood, and one is filled with witches, blood, and moonlight. So that's like the difference basically. So just Deldretch X Sevender. So because they have similar attributes to when they're what the theme is basically. And Sevender is located in Mirthcur, which is the realm of the Mirius, which is a witch clan. So yeah. Next we have Threshing Redusk. Okay, so Redusks are they're cards that we made for a power pack for Kazos, which is the orc saga that we made. It's about orcs. And Redusks are basically their orcish bulls, pretty much. So I decided to make a threshing one. Next, we have Arrow Fire spell. Just a good spell to kill your enemies with. And yeah, doesn't really reference to anything. Elglark Orcar. Sorry. So this card is referenced. We did a deck back in 2022 called From Dark Dungeons to Sky Havens, and we started a little orc thing in there called Elglark. And here's a card from it, referencing that deck basically. Next we have 3/3/3/6/6/6 Stabs spell, which is basically like a kind of a cursed stabbing spell. It doesn't really reference anything except evil and darkness. Garden Swamp Gobless. Okay, so this card is another remake of the Gobless. It's Garden Swamp one. Here we have Gorging Gordor. So when we were 15, we did a card called Gordor, and this is a Gorging one with a J. Here we have Slashing Floosh. So from Grizzot's Dark deck, we did a card called Floosh, and I decided to make a remake of it called Slashing Floosh. Or Sloshing Floosh. Sorry, Sloshing Floosh. Cutting Kuai. So we did a card when we were 15 called Kuai, and it's a cutting one, basically, a remake. Next, we have Realm Bits Golem. So this card is just basically bits of all the realms into a golem. It can be summoned to field by any card. It honestly can go on field for any reason. Come on. In Earth We Trust spell. So this spell references kind of just Earth and elemental Mother Earth and stuff like that. And yeah. Next we have Lime Energy. So this is referencing Lamarly Lime, the master chemist we made. And yeah, it's a potion. Izarek's Direwolf Blade. So Izarek is the leader of CassiansRealmSagas from the CassiansRealmSagas realm saga and everything. And that's his sword, made from a direwolf fang. Next we have Blur the Bigger Picture, which is just kind of about blurring the bigger picture and only seeing one thing. Next we have Ice Core Bellrock, which summons Ice Permacore Golem. Both these cards are basically referencing the Bellrocks, which is from Lord of the Rings, but I don't care. I decided to use the name anyways. 1518 meaning, basically a spell about the meaning of 1518, which is personal to me. And we explained it to you a bunch of times, so no need to go over that again. Okay, Realm Rager, which summons Realmius Raging Golemoth. Just more golems to help you on the field and summon you massive creatures and win you massive amounts of life. Sorry. Okay, 60 Punch Gun. So we did a card for a Natarexilus equipment pack way back when, and it was called Punch Gun. It was called Punch Gun, and I decided to do a remake of it. So here it is. Next we have Callers of Wolf Skull. So basically, ghosts that call more ghosts from Wolf Skull, referencing Wolf Skull. Next we have Endless Trenching Spell. This spell is just basically about moving forward. Yeah. And the Real Frozone Potion. So we did a card way back when we were 15 called Frozone Potion, and this is the real Frozone Potion, basically. So it's a reboot, better make of the last one. And next we have Akani, the Defeater of Ivana. So this is Akani and Ivana are literally the oldest idea I've ever had in my game. They're literally my first idea for Legendary Creature Standoff, and this was them. And I still haven't made their story, which sucks. But we will get to it eventually, and that's the start of getting to it. So then we have Ivana's Crown, bonus weapon. We did not make a Queen Ivana pictured card because we just forgot. But I can't have 121 cards. No way. Dame's Fieldatron, which is from our Elemental Fire pack from the Forge to the Hordes. We did a card on, basically a whole realm on there called Dame's Firefield, which is where the whole saga took place, and that's a Dame's Fieldatron fire robot. Next we have Burnout Spell, just another spell kind of based around Crash Out. Autumn Heart Antler, based around more Wild Hearts. Next we have Wild Heart Antler, once again to go with the Wild Heart Horn. Next we have Violet Blood Ruin Vampirius. Violet is not based off of my sister Violet. She is just a vampire I decided to name Violet. She has nothing to do with my sister, because my sister is not a blood-sucking moonlight demon. Murgle Mermaids, even though she can be. They're based around Murgle and the Murgle saga. Next, we have Stew of Leaves Potion, just based around like leaves and green core and green heart and all of that. Next, we have a Sagas of the Realms Feel free to pause it and read it, because I'm getting tired. I'm not going to read it to you. Oh, fuck it. You know what? I will. Okay, now that we have come close to now that we have come to a close on this set, I wanted to talk about scrapped ideas and the composure of my first mass pack set. Originally, it was going to be 200 cards, that's true. On card 64, I decided it was going to be 120 cards, that's true. The reasons were the decks are 60 cards, and it felt right that it should be doubled 120 cards. 60 plus 60 is 120. And I left out a lot of card ideas and scrapped even more when it came to making and composing the gameplay of the cards. That is true. I got rid of a lot of cards and card ideas that I was going to incorporate into it because it was too much. And then Art of the Cards, it was just a lot to basically like remaster it. And the 1518 was just kind of like the review of the whole game. So it was kind of cool to just, create just random stuff from all sorts of different sagas all over my game and put it into one. But then I realized I had way too much. And then our last card, Cameron, who is Cassian, who is him. I thought that was a cool card. It's basically about me and me making the cards and me being the creator of all of this and everything. So yeah, and I think I'm going to end the video because it is freaking hot where I am at in this hot car. And I think we wrapped everything up. I think we said everything we wanted to say. We showed all the cards. We did it all. So etc. Wait to see you guys next time.